Good evening. My name is Akisa Wandera. Our sign language interpreter is Gideon Bogo. Thank you for joining us. The umbrella body of the Matatu operators has called off a strike and promised to get back on the road as soon as possible. The Federation of Public Transport Operators further apologized to commuters and pledged to comply with the rule of law. The operators had Monday called for a countrywide strike over the reinstatement of Michuki rules by the government. But even as they did that, many Kenyans are still reeling from the transport crisis that hit the country, leaving thousands of commuters stranded across the country. The crackdown on the errant matatus precipitated in an increase in fares and transport crisis. And as Yusuf Ibrahim begins our bulletin tonight, he reports on the government saying that it will not relent in enforcing the Michuki rules.
Monday morning, and from the onset you can tell that the rubber has literally met the road. These after the government made good its threat of a major crackdown on all public service vehicles, with the PSV owners choosing to withdraw their cars from the roads, protesting the government's move. But it's commuters who bore the brunt of the crackdown, and the nation was reduced to a walking one. From the CBD to the outskirts of the city, the script was the same countrywide, with some commuters forced to use every means possible to report to their workstation, some even opting to use the almost redundant train services to get to their destination. Thika Superhighway, and commuters were seen early morning sharing the highway with motorists, while some were seen scrambling for space in the few operating PSVs that had complied with the rules, but they charged exorbitantly.
Ngafika hapa naambiwa kuenda town ni so kumaanisha kwenda Chachami pia ni so. Chachami tunalipanga normally 30 bob. Alafu nikifika Chachami nichukue dinga ingine niende hadi Isili nilipe 30 bob. Ikuwe 60. So budget yangu ilikuwa between 60 and 80 bob. Nafika hapa naambiwa sasa kwenda town. So inamaanisha nikichukua motorbike wanataka 300 kwenda hadi Isili. 300 sana naenda Ushago kusema ukweli ama naenda Isili. Kutoka hapa kwenda kwetu ni 250.
The few matatus on the road were not the only ones making a keel out of the transport crisis.
Nashukuru Matiang'i, hii operation iendelee, hata kama itaendelea mwezi mzima. Hii kazi imetusaidia. Ikiendelea hivi mpaka mwezi mmoja ishe, watu watakuwa na tutazidi kuongeza mapikipiki zingine. Hii operation iendelee na iendelee. Saa hii kutoka hapa mpaka town, kama una 700 huwezi panda pikipiki. Saa hii biashara iendelee, na mimi nashukuru Matiang'i. Kama una pesa urudi nyumbani.
But not everyone seemed happy, some asking for help from the government.
Matiang'i, tukumbuke penye huko na kupenda sana, lakini sasa utupende sisi pia. Love yourself as in love your neighbor as in you love yourself. Si kujiona tu peke yako na sisi tunaumia hapa chini.
The regulations, popularly known as the Michuki rules, have been in place since December 2003. But in recent years, enforcement and compliance has not been adhered to, leading to an increase in accidents that have cost thousands of lives.
Hiyo sheria si mbaya. Bora mtu atengeneze gari yake. Juu ukitengeneza gari yako, hakuna askari mnasumbuana. Akisimamisha apate gari iko na misibi na dereva ako na document na picha namna hiyo, ana swali ingine mnaulizana.
The rules stipulate that public transport operators must fit their vehicles with seat belts and speed governors limiting the top speed to 80 kilometers per hour, as well as have a yellow continuous line on the side of the vehicle, among several other regulations. Yusuf Ibrahim, KTN.
Well, that's how things turned out today, but the Federation of Matatu Operators earlier on said that things will be different tomorrow. Jeff Kiruiza, the CBD, specifically at the Kencom bar station, and now joins us live with an update. Jeff, is anything different from what we've been witnessing throughout the day?
Well, Akisa, this is Kencom. This is a particular stage serving the sides of Ngong Road, Kawangware, Ngumo, and Kibra. And from this morning, things have not been so well here. Commuters have been forced to walk to work. And right now, normalcy is coming, returning, of course. We've seen several buses here applying that route. But as it stands, some of the commuters are actually not comfortable with the fare, saying that the fare has been hiked. Where they usually go for an amount of 40 shillings, they're now doing 80 shillings. A few minutes ago, it was 100 shillings. And right now, the private vehicles are actually stepping in to fill that loop that has been caused by the strike by the matatu operators. As you can see from the other side, they are waiting for passengers so that they can drop them. Most of them are going to Kawangware. Some of the passengers actually started waiting for the fare to drop a little bit, putting into consideration that some parts of that region are the low income and middle income earners, of course, waiting for that particular price to drop. And I would be seeking to speak to a few commuters on what the day has been. Some have actually been forced to work. Others have actually painfully have to pay or part with fares more than 500 from Githurai to Nairobi. And maybe I can speak to this gentleman here. How are you, sir? Welcome to KT News. How has the situation been so far?
It's very bad. There are no matatus. Right now we are just going to hire some taxis and try and get home at least. But it has been very bad. We are kindly asking the government to intervene and help the mostly Nairobi residents because there are no matatus around. Yeah.
Well, how much does it cost you to hire a taxi?
It's very expensive. It's almost 400 shillings. So maybe you couple with 4 of your friends and you end up paying 100 shillings each.
Well, there is an introduction of the National Youth Service buses by the Ministry of Transport. Have you seen those buses and are they working?
We have not seen any of those buses. I think we just hear them on TV and maybe magazines, but hatujaziona. We have not seen them completely. Yeah.
So how long do you plan to stay here?
Currently, we are just hoping that maybe some buses come because the taxis are charging very highly and it's really impacting on us negatively, financially. Yeah.
Well, maybe I can speak to one person and see if there is any other person willing to speak to us. How are you, sir? Jambo. How long have you been here?
For almost 2 hours now.
Where are you heading to?
Kawangware 46.
You're heading to Kawangware 46. Yeah. We've seen that some vehicles actually applying that route, but they're saying that their fares is about 80 shillings. What is the normal pricing for that area?
We usually pay 40 shillings or 50. Yeah.
All right. Well, Akisa, there you've had it. The fares from Nairobi to Kawangware have actually doubled from 40 shillings to 80 shillings. A few minutes ago it was 100 shillings, but they're hoping that tomorrow things will be better following the consensus between the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Interior, as well as the Federation of Transport Public Transport Services in Nairobi. Akisa.
Jeff, thank you. Jeff Kirui at the Nairobi CBD, specifically the Kencom stage, as he does a spot check on a number of the areas to see how Kenyans are coping. And of course, many still remain at their various bus stops to just see whether the fares will go down or will come down before they decide to board. As operators kept off the road, the government is still talking tough. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i and his transport counterpart James Macharia say the government will not relent in its fresh drive. The two have given a warning to operators who are keeping their vehicles off the road that they risk losing their licenses. As the government stood firm, operators who had withdrawn their vehicles from the roads have now softened their stand and say compliant vehicles will be back on the road.
Scenes reminiscent of those witnessed in the year 2003 when new traffic regulations, popularly known as the Michuki rules, were first introduced. The operation was a success, with the then Transport Minister, the late John Michuki, a tough-talking, no-nonsense man, remaining firm even after matatu operators called a nationwide strike. 15 years later, operators are dealing with another no-nonsense man.
We are determined to be in this for the whole hog. And we are not relenting. itakuwa ngumu sana. Usilete gari yako kama hajapita sheria ile inatakikana. Ukileta, usiseme you are not want. Jaribu ulete uone.
Over the weekend, public service vehicle operators under the umbrella of the Federation of Public Transport Operators announced they would withdraw their vehicles from the road.
So those who are saying, oh, we are withdrawing transport, so we can negotiate, they can keep their vehicles at home as long as they please. We are not changing. The laws have been there and they are existing. There is nothing we have invented.
Operators who keep their vehicles off the road risk losing their operating licenses.
If you've been given a license and you're not utilizing that license, then you don't require that license.
Dozens of vehicles were taken for inspection at the Motor Vehicle Inspection Unit. The shortage of public transport has seen PSVs that are operating increase fares, in some cases, by more than 100%.
When we have shortage of public transport, it is not a license for an operator to increase the fares.
Some of those vehicles that are doubling the fares on their routes will lose their licenses today. I can assure them they will lose their licenses.
On Saturday, the Federation of Public Transport Operators gave all indications that it would play hardball by withdrawing vehicles from the road. But with the government's tough talk, the operators have eaten humble pie.
We'll be back on the road. We are sorry that this had to be done where vehicles had been withdrawn. As we move out of this place, we would like to request our people who have now complied to put back their vehicles onto the road.
To help ease the public transport crisis, the Kenya Railways has increased the number of trains operating from Ruiru, Kikuyu, Embakasi and Syokimau to the city centre.
Normally they run about 12 trains every day, but we have from today now agreed that the number of trains will be increased to 18.
The Michuki rules were implemented with a bang, but the momentum was not sustained. The government says it is in this for the long haul, but ensuring there is no laxity in the implementation will make all the difference between the success of the first round and second round of enforcement of the Michuki rules. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
We also got a chance to speak to Pokot South Member of Parliament David Kosing, who's a member of the Transport Committee in the National Assembly, on the implementation of the Michuki rules and their stand on the same. Let's listen into that.
What we have done, and which of course is now in the table of Inspector General and Minister of Transport, what we have done, what we have realized is that the Michuki rules and the rules we are talking about now, they are not self-enforcing. They depend on a traffic policeman, they depend on a number of things. Number two, when you look at that accident, the worst accident this year that occurred in 14 and that killed more than 56 people, that car was not licensed to travel at night. It was overcrowded. But there was policemen on the road, and again, coming back, there was somebody who released that car. That is the SACCO and the CEO, and that is why we have come up with a proposed amendment. We have asked the Inspector General to have 2 weeks to look at it and bring back to us. We have asked the Minister of Transport to have a look at it and bring us back to us. And what we are saying is that we want to make the so-called Michuki rules, the popularly known as Michuki rules, self-regulating. And therefore, we want to take SACCO owner to bear or to take the greatest responsibility, so that when an accident occurs, like what happened, then we should ask ourselves, how did that car move from the yard to transport people and go and kill people in Fort Tenan? It was released by a SACCO CEO. Where were the policemen? How many roadblocks were on the road? Why did they see that that car was not supposed to travel at night? And therefore, what has been missing in this country is that where is the policeman, where is the SACCO man? And therefore, the law we are bringing in place very soon will take the police to jail and will also take the SACCO owner and the